Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Plan Your Federal Retirement podcast. I'm your co-host, Micah Shalansky, and with me, as usual, the amazing Tammy Flanagan. How's it going, Tammy?
I'm doing great, Micah, and it's good to be back as usual. I've been gone for a little while now. The last few sessions, we've been doing this together, so we're making it a habit again.
I love it. I get super excited about that, especially because we get to talk about some really fun things, right? We kind of pregame, we chat a little bit in advance of these and kind of what do we want to talk about? What questions do we have coming in? Then when we do the pod, we kind of pregame a little bit. And it's always fun doing that because we're always in a good way kind of challenge each other, asking each other some different questions. How do we do this? What's your situation in this? And it's always fun because there's always new stuff to learn. And you think, great, the benefit system has been out for forever. Why is there new things, right? But there's new interpretations of it. There's slight changes in the law. Then there's just that practical application. There's the theory of what should happen. And you and I were chatting with this because you work with a lot of pre-retirees and helping them get ready, not a lot of retirees. And so we were talking about the little bit of differences in how you set them up for retirement. That I work with them through retirement and different OPM communications. So it was really fun.
It was, yeah. And it's funny, too, how we look at things from those perspectives, whether we're in that pre-retirement mode and we're seeing things in the future versus if you're in retirement and you're really acting out the process. And
Yes.
It can be different. The devil is in the details, as they say. And that's so true when it comes to some of the things we're going to be talking about today in regards to this FERS Special Retirement Supplement.
Yes, which is a great benefit that you have. But there's, like some other benefits, there's some misconceptions out there, Tammy, at least that I run into on not only how does it work, how it's calculated, but also some people kind of feel they got a little bit of penalty depending on the age they retire and not getting the supplement. So we want to make sure we're addressing that. And if you have ever wondered about how to apply for your first supplement, then make sure you're staying tuned for this podcast because at the end, that's right, this is the teaser. At the end, we're going to make sure we answer that question in detail to make sure you get it. But Tammy, kind of before we get really into it, I guess we should start at high level. What is the FERS supplement or the special retirement supplement?
Yeah, and there you hit it on the head, Micah, because we don't even know what to call it. Some people call it the SRS, the Special Retirement Supplement. Some people call it the Social Security Supplement. Some people call it the FERS Supplement. I mean, it goes just like everything else. It goes by multiple names. What it was or what it is, it was a benefit that's part of your FERS basic benefit. So when you retire under FERS, you may be entitled to receive this as part of your FERS retirement benefit. It's administered and processed at the Office of Personnel Management, and it was designed by Congress to create that Social Security piece of your retirement that's missing if you retire younger than 62. Because when we think of FERS, we really think of a three-part retirement system. A basic government pension, which is your FERS basic benefit, Social Security retirement that you typically apply for between the ages of 62 and 70, and then, of course, the thrift savings plan, which we love to talk about, which is the investment part, the retirement savings part of your retirement. So this supplement was there to allow federal employees, just like forever, just like back to 1920, we allow federal employees to retire at a young age. And that young age is called the minimum retirement age. So for an employee who retires between their minimum retirement age, which is typically 57 if you were born in 1970 or later. Now, if you're older like I am, it could be 56 or somewhere in between. But if you retire between the MRA and 62, you're too young for Social Security. So this supplement plays the role of substituting for Social Security while you're waiting to turn 62. Now, not everybody who retires under 62 will get it. So if you retire on a disability retirement, sorry, no supplement, because disability retirees have to apply for Social Security disability, which they may or may not qualify for. So that's one caution to someone who might be filing for disability retirement. They may not qualify for disability under Social Security, and they're not going to get the FERS supplement. The other group of folks who will not get the supplement are those who resign with entitlement to either a postponed or a deferred retirement. In order to get the supplement, you have to have an immediate, unreduced benefit. Immediate meaning that benefit's going to start within 31 days of when you leave, and unreduced meaning that you're not subject to any age reduction. which we have to apply when you retire under an MRA plus 10, which is a whole nother podcast. But if you go out into the age reduced benefits, you're not going to get the supplement. So it's only for those people who retire with 30 years or more at their MRA, or someone who retires at 60 or 61 with 20 or more years. It can also be for our special groups, our law enforcement officers, firefighters, air traffic controllers, CIA operatives, foreign service dignitaries, all these folks who retire under these liberalized retirement provisions that allow them to retire maybe at age 50 and have mandatory separation. They're also entitled to receive the supplement throughout those years leading up to age 62. And then the last group, and this isn't a big group right now, we're not going to start any new rumors, but those who get offered early outs, somebody who took an early retirement at age 50, they'll get the supplement, but for them, it doesn't start until their minimum retirement age. So we'll leave that one out for now because I haven't heard any good rumors about early outs being offered to too many federal employees these days.
Well, Tammy, I like it. Basically, what I've heard in here is you're going to get you're eligible for the first supplement if you retire with an immediate pension and you're less than 62. Those are kind of the big things. You're hitting those two requirements, and now we're eligible without a penalty as well, right? Unreduced. And now we're going to be eligible for it, which is fantastic. And this is one thing that I always want to check whenever I'm looking at a federal employee retirement estimate. I'm always checking that first supplement number. Now, several of the pieces of software are getting much better. It was not too far ago that there was completely missed entirely. Now I'm seeing the first supplement a lot more on these FERS retirement estimates, which are fantastic, but I'm always checking that. I'm always checking the math. So Tammy, let's get into a little bit on how we calculate the first supplement, because it can be different for every single employee, right? The math is always the same, but just because one employee has a 30-year career, another employee has a 30-year career, what makes up those 30 years could really affect what's eligible in the supplement or not, right?
That's right. Yeah, the supplement loosely follows the Social Security formula. And the other thing about the supplement that does not follow Social Security is that it's only based on your civilian federal service, where Social Security includes private sector jobs, part-time jobs back in high school, military service that may count towards your FERS retirement. Yes. But we unfortunately, cannot count military service in computing the supplement. So it strictly is limited to credit for civilian federal employment, creditable service under FERS. And that's one mistake that sometimes we see, is that some people have an estimate that includes the military service, which can greatly inflate the supplement. But unfortunately, the reality is they won't have that larger benefit when OPM processes their retirement. So it's only based on civilian service.
Right.
Now, there's two ways to ballpark it. One of them is to add up the years of civilian service that you've had, round it off to the closest whole year. So whether it's 30 years or 20 years or 35 and a half, whatever, but round it to the whole year closest. And then divide that number, whether it's 20 divided by 40 or 35 divided by 40, put the number 40 as the divisor. That's constant. That number 40 represents a career from age 22 to 62 is 40 years. So if we say 30 40ths, that's 75% of a career you spent under FERS. So take your FERS civilian service divided by 40 and multiply that by your Social Security benefit payable at age 62. Now, how do you find out what your Social Security benefit is payable at age 62? You would need to set up a My Social Security account at the socialsecurity.gov website. Now, we have another way. We came up with a little shortcut for our listeners as we were prepping for this, because we figured that there's a ballpark of somewhere between $30 to $40 per year under FERS if you're in the, let's say, GS-13 below income level. If you're GS-13 and above, we said it's going to be somewhere between $40 and $50 a month for every year that you have under FERS. So if we're going to use, let's say we use $40 and you have 30 years under FERS, 30 years under FERS times $40 a month is $1,200 a month, or about $14,400 a year. And that would be a pretty close ballpark. It's not going to be down to the penny, but you'll be within, I'd say, $100 of what it should be.
And the supplement is great, right? What I like about it is it's a benefit because, again, Tammy, to what you said, your benefits are really based on those three things. It's your FERS pension, TSP, and Social Security. And it's early access, kind of how I describe it, early access to some of your Social Security money that you earned while you were a federal employee. But because it's tied to your Social Security benefit, that means as soon as you're eligible for Social Security is when the supplement is going to stop. So it doesn't matter when you turn your Social Security on. Once you hit the age of 62, your supplement is going to turn into a pumpkin because you're eligible to turn on your Social Security. Now, that doesn't mean you have to turn on your Social Security, by the way. There's still some really good reasons why you want to delay your Social Security. We've done multiple pods on that before. We have some great videos on there, so make sure you're jumping on our website and looking at those for that decision about when to turn my Social Security on. But regardless of that, the supplement turns into a pumpkin at 62, right?
That's right. And a lot of people wonder about that because I've gotten the question multiple times saying, hey, Tammy, when I turn 62, does my Social Security start coming instead of the supplement? No, OPM does not notify Social Security anything about this supplement. The supplement is strictly a benefit coming as part of your FERS retirement, and it just terminates when you turn 62. The month after your 62nd birthday, you're going to look in your bank statement, and it's going to have less money. So you don't even get a warning saying, hey, by the way, we're going to stop your supplement.
Happy
It
birthday.
just stops. You just need to know. Happy birthday. That's right. But Micah, there's another way that that supplement can either be reduced or terminated earlier than 62, right?
And that's something we talk about with a lot of clients that are I'm going to say retire early, right? Retire early is generally yet less than 62, 65. We're retiring a little sooner than maybe your counterparts in the private sector would. So a little bit of an early retirement. So if you retire at 57 years young, you may not be done. You may still want to go work. You may still want to contribute in some other way that has an earned income. And Tammy, that's where this earnings limitation kicks in. So the same earnings limitation that affects your Social Security if you take Social Security early, which is between age 62 and your FRA, your full retirement age between 65 and 67. If you take your Social Security early, there's a limitation. For every $2 you make above a threshold, they take $1 away. So for this year, 2023, for every $2 you make above $21,240, they're going to take $1 of your supplement away. So if you go get a job and you make $40,000 a year after you retire, you have, roughly speaking, $19,000 of, quote, excess earnings. Now, I don't know, but you guys, I have never had excess earnings, by the way. I always think my earnings are fantastic, not excess. But anyways, but OPM's eyes, you have $19,000 of excess earnings. So they're going to take $1 away for every $2 over. So we take that $19,000, we cut it in half, about $8,500. And they're going to reduce $9,500. They're going to reduce your supplement by $9,500 that year. And so this is really important to know. So a couple of things. One, it doesn't catch you by surprise that it's going to happen. And also OPM's on a lag. OPM doesn't know that you retired from this job from federal service, went over and picked up another job doing something else. So what they're going to do is they're going to send you a survey. And Tammy, this is what we were talking about beforehand, that I always want to tell clients we need to be proactive with OPM because not all of my clients tell me they get this survey report from OPM, but in April of the year after you retire, between April and May, right, is when you get that survey letter from OPM. And it says, hey, how much earned income do you have? And if you don't have any earned income, you just put 0 and you send it back and life is good and they're not going to reduce your supplement. But if you do have earned income, OPM wants to know about it so they can start reducing your supplement. Now, if you're thinking, hey, I'm just going to pull a fast one on OPM, I just won't fill out this form, don't you worry about it. They will find out. It just takes them about a 2-year lag because they get your income tax data from the Social Security office. They get that data and then they're going to see that you have excess earnings, and then they're going to go and reduce your pension in order to get that money back. So I like my clients, I say being proactive with this, right? I don't want to wake up one day and say, oops, what happened to my pension? It just got massively cut. I want to know what that dollar amount's going to be. I want to know what my clients' excess earnings are. So we're always planning for it.
Yeah, and a couple of other things about the earnings limit. For our friends who are retiring under law enforcement, firefighters, all those special provisions that can retire younger than 57, they have a little bonus benefit. So let's say you're a law enforcement officer, you work for DEA or FBI or ATF or any one of those three-letter law enforcement agencies, and you're getting the supplement as early as age 48 because I retired with 25 years of service, or at 50 with 20 years. You're going to get the supplement regardless of your earnings. You can go out and earn 500,000 a year and OPM will
Yep.
still pay you the supplement until after you reach your MRA. So what'll happen in that case, let's say you reach your MRA this year in July. So from August until December of 2023, OPM is going to want to know how much money did you earn, earned income, wages, salary, self-employment income did you have after you turned 57, if that's your MRA. But you don't report that to OPM until the spring of next year. So they're going to send out the survey next year asking you, what did you do last year after you reached your MRA until the end of that calendar year. As long as you respond to that survey when it's sent and you get your answers in by the end of May, they'll be able to adjust that supplement on time and you won't owe anything back to OPM. So what you're seeing with your clients sometimes, Micah, is that either they didn't get the survey from OPM or it came and you thought, oh, this is just junk mail advertising from OPM. They're selling me something. I'm going to throw that away. Or like if I don't respond, maybe they won't know that I went back to work. But there is a double check. There definitely is. So the best thing is to respond to the survey on time, and that will take care of itself. So you don't have to tell them the minute you retire that I'm going back to work, because they don't care about that until the following year.
And I
Or
guess
until
another
after
reason.
the MRA.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I guess the other reason I like you a little bit, I'm going to say being proactive with it, like scheduling it in our calendar is I was just thinking about this when you're explaining it. I had a client recently who's come up and he got this letter, but he's busy. He's working another job. He's doing other things. He's traveling, etc. And he emailed in our office last week, says, holy crap, I can't believe we forgot. I got this letter from OPM. It says I got to send this in by the end of May. And we had just a couple of days left in May. And he's like, I got to send this in. I was like, great news, Bob. We already took care of that in February. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, we already had it on our schedule. So we already printed the form off. When he came in for his appointment, we already went through that with him. And so we did it in advance of the survey, so much of him getting it, but we knew it was going to be coming out. And so that's what I would encourage our listeners to do. If you know you're going to have earned income and you're going to be getting the supplement, put it on your calendar. Because here's my concern, and maybe I'm geeking out about this too much. We had one client and she was law enforcement. And so she separated from service. She got her pension, which is fantastic. She got her supplement, which is great. And she went to work in the private sector and she was earning really good money. And Tammy, just as you said, she was eligible to keep her entire supplement up until she reached her MRA. Once she hit her MRA, I was like, hey, we need to contact OPM and let them know about your income. And her comment was like, well, maybe we just don't. And if they catch it, they'll just, take it from my pension later, which is a true statement. I mean, that's not what I'd recommend, but that is an option. But here was the problem. She got her pension. She had her supplement. She had a really good job. She was in a 32% tax bracket. She was in a very high tax bracket, and she was going to retire next year. So here's what would have happened. She gets the supplement. She has to pay taxes at 32% today on that money. She retires in 2 years, and it takes about 2 years for OPM to figure out what your income is, right? And then they would go back and reduce her pension. So she's paying taxes on the supplement today at 32%. She then goes to retire. Her income goes to a 22% bracket. Now she has to pay that supplement back, but at 22%, that cost her several $1,000s in taxes just because of when this came down. So it's not a matter of fact of saying, oh, well, they paid me $1, I'm going to give them $1 back. That dollar has a tax consequence. So it may be something we want to think about.
Another example of how tax planning and retirement planning go hand in hand.
Together.
For sure. Yeah, and while you were talking, Mike, I was thinking also of the fact that, hey, I'm working now, but maybe I'm going to stop working before I turn 62.
Right.
So if you've had your supplement terminated, because OPM calls that termination if you make way too much money, they're not going to keep sending you surveys. Once it's terminated, it's gone. However, if you have stopped working or have worked low enough wages that you can get it back, it's important to contact OPM and let them know that, because they can start it back up again. They won't do it unless you tell them you've stopped working.
So
Give
again,
them a
it's an
call. Give
annual.
them a call
It's an
early in the morning.
early. It's an annual thing when you do your taxes, right? That's where I'd put it. Why when you do your taxes? Because you have all of your information. You know what your earnings were for last year versus trying to guess. You should be looking at this going backwards and saying, hey, and do I receive a supplement? Is there any earnings limitation that I need to report, or is my earnings dropped? And now I can go apply for them. And I guess that kind of leads into our next question, Tammy, that we kind of teased our audience with about when someone retires. And we get this question all the time, which we love. But the question is, how do I apply for my first supplement? How do I turn? I see my retirement application, but nowhere in that retirement application for an immediate retirement, it says nothing about my supplement. I'm supposed to get $1,500 a month from a supplement. Tammy, where do I send that application in?
You don't.
What do you mean I don't? So how do I get the pension? How do I get my supplement if there's no application for it? It's a government process. There has to be a form, right?
Well, like I said in the front of this, I said only some people get the supplement. So OPM makes the determination. When they process your FERS immediate retirement application, so you filed for retirement, you put your application in, 90 days ahead of time. Now it's with OPM. They accept it in the U.S. Postal Service or FedEx delivery truck, and they're going to put you into interim retired pay. While you're in interim retired pay, they're going to review with a fine-tooth comb your retirement eligibility. They're going to calculate your final annuity calculation. That's when they determine if you're entitled to the supplement, and if you are, they'll calculate how much it is. So that tells you one important thing. So let's say you're counting on $1,500 a month in FERS supplement, and you just retired in May of this year. So you're saying, well, am I going to get my supplement starting with my June retirement payment? You will eventually, but it might take OPM 6 months to figure that out. So for the next 6 months, you're not getting any supplement because they don't even know yet if you're entitled to it, because they make that determination. You didn't apply for it. It's like a little bonus you get when you get your retirement process. They say, oh, you're entitled. We're going to give you some extra money to tide you over. It's temporary. It's not part of your lifetime annuity,
Right.
but you will get it at the time your retirement is adjudicated or finalized.
And that does come in your retirement blue book, right? The retirement blue book you get, which is a few weeks after, I like to say, tell my clients 10 days to 14 days after they've finalized your pension is when most of my clients see it. And it will talk about the supplement in there. And of course, as Tammy said, since you weren't paid that supplement interim payments, they do back pay, they do make you whole. And I always like to run the math on that. I've only had one time, and it was a Vera VSIP case on an early retirement where OPM did not do the supplement correctly because he retired under a Vera in early retirement. And then like 3 months later, he was 57 and eligible for the supplement. But by the time they processed his retirement, they didn't include that in there because they were just looking at this and a little bit of a catch up. But most of the time, I got to say OPM is pretty good on the supplement. I don't really see too much of a difference in there, Tammy. I don't know about you.
I haven't either. No, it's been pretty routine. It usually comes if you're entitled to it. But like I said, there's some people that retire younger than 62 who don't get it. But for most immediate retirements, law enforcement, firefighters, they all get the supplement if they retire. Now, the other question that comes up, Micah, is this is kind of funny from our perspective because we understand the big picture. But you'll get someone who says, well, I don't want to work until I'm 62 or 65 or till I have 38 years instead of 35 years because I'm not going to get the FERS supplement if I wait until 62 to retire. So it's like they're missing out on something is their feeling. Like, well, I got to retire at 57 because then I'll get the supplement for 5 years. Is that logical to think that way? Is that the right way to look at your planning for retirement date that, hey, I got to retire at 57 so I get 5 years of the supplement?
That is, I can understand where that comes from, right? Because it does feel like you're losing out on your benefit. But there's another benefit you get while you continue to work, your paycheck. And that really is a great benefit. So this is, Tammy, more of a math question versus I'm losing a benefit question. Can you financially afford to retire at 57? If you can and you're financially independent, well, then we check the financial boxes we talked about before, right? There's two categories. We got to meet both of these when we go to retire. Number one is the financial category. Are we financially independent? Can we make this transition? Number two is the emotional category. Am I emotionally ready to make this transition? And we've got a bunch of clients that sometimes they're just not there. Financially, they got everything aligned. They still enjoy the mission. They enjoy what they want to do. They're not done making a difference. That's totally fine. So we got to check both of those boxes. And it also works sometimes the other way, where we are ready to leave and go do something else, which is fantastic, but we're not quite there financially, right? And so I would never tell somebody who can't afford to retire, stop working because you get the supplement. It's a cash flow question. If you don't have enough cash flow coming in, it doesn't matter what the supplement is. The supplement is to augment, is to help replace that Social Security income. So great news. You still get Social Security at 62 years young if you were entitled for the supplement. So you're still going to get that benefit. It just comes in the form of Social Security. You're not losing anything.
That's right. Yeah, it's a tough one to think about because we think we're missing out or we're losing some valuable benefit, but I don't think of it that way at all. And I love what you said about making sure you're financially ready. Now, the other part of that could be, let's say I'm not financially ready, but I want to do something different.
Sure.
And I get that a lot too. I'll work after I retire. Well, keep in mind that if you do work after you retire, you'll probably lose the supplement unless you're just working at a part-time minimum wage type job. So that's another part of this whole puzzle that you have to put together, saying, okay, I do want to retire at 57 or even at 50 as a law enforcement officer. The good news for those special groups, they can take advantage of that second career while they're very marketable in their early 50s, and they can get the supplement with no earnings test until 57. So that group, by all means, the day you become eligible, if your goal is to have a second career, don't wait, because you'll never be more marketable in the private sector than you are today. But on the other hand, for someone who says, well, I just want to do something a little bit on the side, that's probably not going to be enough to make you financially more secure, because you're giving up pension benefits if you had stayed in federal service in exchange for maybe the income, the delta between your retirement check and your paycheck. So you got to there's some real tough financial planning there that's usually above my pay grade. That's when I say you better go see a financial advisor and make sure they're good at taxes so that they can really help you make the best decisions.
And Tammy, to put a little financial planning kind of pro tip on that one as well, and I know you know this, where I get concerned with my special provisions or the people that want to retire and go get that second career. Sweet, we're going to get a good pension. We're going to get a supplement. We're going to get a healthy paycheck. And you went from living on just that government pension to now you're living on the government pension times two. Or I'm sorry, government paycheck times two, right? We got the pension, the supplement, and this new earnings. And now what have you done to your lifestyle? You've dramatically increased your lifestyle. Now you're no longer on track for retirement. So this needs to be a balanced question that's here. I'm not saying don't get a second career, but be really careful of that lifestyle addiction. I've seen a lot of people go from financially sound, they could permanently retire, they could be good. They transition, they get this other job, another 6+ figures in income, and now their lifestyle creeps up to that level, and they went from financially to secure to not able to retire. Ooh, that is a tough pill to swallow. So one of the things we do with our people that making that second career, hey, I want 100% of your pension check or your supplement or your paycheck, whichever one of those two categories. I want 100% of that deposited into an investment account where you don't see and touch. Live off your paycheck and then let that pension check build and grow, etc. So you're not living on it as lifestyle money.
That's exactly what we did. When my husband retired, I don't remember how old he was now. He's been retired a good 10 years fully, but we put his retirement check in the bank. Didn't look at it. It was in a different bank account, so I never saw it because I'm the one who spent it. So we put it out of sight, out of mind. And by the time he fully retired, we had paid off all mortgage payments, which I know is not always in everybody's best interest, but we didn't want a mortgage, so we paid cash for our house. And we're able to do that because we'd set aside years of collecting that pension while he was working that second career. And the second career paid about the same as his first career. So we were living on the same income, but we still had that extra money, big chunk of extra money going in the bank, building up and using that as our retirement ticket. So it worked out really well. It is possible and it's well worth doing. Very well worth doing.
All right, Tammy, well, this podcast is all about action items for our listeners, right? So not only great entertainment, but action to do. So I'm going to say number one is, the supplement is so tied to your Social Security. Go pull your Social Security statement. Go to ssa.gov, socialsecurity.gov. create an account if you don't have one. This is also, you really need to create an account, especially if you're eligible for Social Security. One of the fraud things that they are seeing, if you don't have a Social Security account, someone else is creating one for you. They're applying for your Social Security at 62, but don't worry, they've changed your address in your bank account, so you're not getting the money. And so by having an account, it makes it a little harder for those people to do that. So go get a Social Security account and go pull your statement. Know what those numbers are. What's your age 62 benefit? What's your FRA benefit? What's your 70 benefit?
Very good advice. I would put on my to-do list for our listeners to get 2 estimates. So if you're thinking about retiring in your 50s, great. Get an estimate of not just your FERS benefit, but make sure it includes the supplement, and start to consider what else you're going to need to pay your bills. Make sure you have enough income. But then, just for fun and giggles, run another estimate. What if I work until I'm 62? So let's compare that, not just 6 months down the road, but let's look at 5 years down the road.
I like that.
Can I afford to retire now, or how much more comfortable will I be if I hang in there just a couple of more years? Because it'll make a big difference in many ways.
Tammy, I think it's fantastic. And I think the third action item is help us achieve our goal, which is helping another 1 million federal employees with retirement by giving them great information. Share the podcast, give us some likes. YouTube is going really good. It's been growing with our traffic. So thank you guys so much for that. The podcast has taken off. So please keep sharing this information. And until next time, happy planning.